But let's move on to this next MMA news. Did you hear the Jake Paul diss track that he dropped called, I think it's just Dana White diss track, but the whole song was like, fuck Dana White, fuck Dana White. And I'm not going to lie, it was pretty fucking good. Whoever they hired to write that shit and to put on the production, spot on for you guys. That was a decent song, and they had Cyborg in it.
They did.
You see that?
Was hilarious, bro. Because, and you know, Cyborg's never fighting for the UFC ever again. We all know that. Yeah. So she didn't give a fuck, dude. And that whole thing when she's a contract there in the beginning before the song started was so funny. It was so funny because they were like, yeah, just sign the contract. It doesn't matter. And then she leaves and they're like, ha, fucking idiot.
We got her.
We got her.
They do all the work and we make all the money. I don't want to get too deep here. We've talked a lot about fighter pay. We talked a lot about fighter health and healthcare and stuff like that. But why is it Jake Paul that's leading this rampage right now? Like, it's him.
Well, yes.
It's not the fighters. It's him. He's actually. I wonder how these contracts go. Because you know for a fact it's written in the contract they're not allowed to talk about pay.
No, I don't know about that.
Not a single fighter has ever talked dollars.
I know, but Dana White has publicly said multiple times that they can talk about it. So if a fighter were to talk about their pay...
That's just taking Dana on his word there.
Okay, but if they were allowed to talk about their pay, and a fighter came out and talked about their pay, and Dana had retribution for them or did something to hurt them, then I think the entire community, I think every fan would be like, whoa, bro, you said it was okay to talk about this publicly, and now you're disciplining a fighter for talking about their public pay. So I think they can. I just think it's a matter of, because I mean, you've seen guys like Kevin Holland being like, yeah, I don't want to tell people how much I make, because then I have every Tom, Dick, and Harry, every cousin, every whatever family member coming and trying to get money from me. So, you know, I do see that as well. Like, you know, I don't know.
I guess the whole reason why I'm even bringing this up in the first place is because, one, it's like, kudos to Jake Paul, because one, he's got a giant nutsack, and like he's just calling him out. He's just calling Dana White out. Now, why has attacked Dana personally? Overall, it's the UFC, man. Like, we need to be paying fucking fighters more. It's still 18% or some shit. Like, they're cutting them in on more deals, like this NFT thing that they're doing with Crypto.com. I believe fighters are going to get like 50% of those NFT sales, which is, you know, that's awesome. They deserve that for sure. But I mean, these fighters need to be making more money. And it's strange how this is the guy leading the charge, in my opinion. Like,
well, let's keep in mind, I'm going to take a different angle here. What Jake Paul is doing overall is good, okay? And I'm not going to sit here and say that it's bad or this and that. However, we also have to keep in mind Jake Paul is a very savvy, very intelligent businessman. Yeah. He understands what he's doing here. One, he's getting in the good graces of the MMA community after knocking two of the MMA fighters the fuck out, right? Not only that, but he's also participating in, you know, in leading the charge in fighters' pay, because why? It's going to get MMA fans on your side, and two, it's going to grow your business and get more eyeballs and you out in the news. When that diss song dropped, I shared it on our social medias, because whether or not I necessarily agree with it or not, like, it was fucking hilarious. It was funny. It was well put together and everything. And there are a lot of things I do agree with. I think fighters should get paid more. I think it's a absolute fucking travesty. But you know, I don't know. I don't know, man. But the diss track was funny. I enjoyed it.
It was funny.
Yeah.
It was funny, and it was very on the nose. Give these fighters healthcare, give them more money. Or else you're going to be in a situation where guys are just going to leave. Like, look at Ngannou. Look at this. Look at that. They're cutting guys. Like, these people are going to make more money outside the UFC. And I guess to bring this full circle, why I even really brought this up is this going to be the death of the UFC? Because I don't remember ever there being a time like this where it has been this vocal and this much in the news around pay and all this stuff and the 18% revenue share. And then you go to boxing, like, Ant W. Meanwhile, Dylan White is going to make $8 million in the next fight. Nobody knows who the fuck this guy even is. And they're hardcore boxing fans. Like, there needs to be something, dude. Because if you just get fighters that... The reason why fighters come to the UFC is because they know this is the best organization in the world. One, I can make buco bucks if you're the right guy, if you sell yourself right, if you're promoted right. You could be the next, like, look at the video. Sign the contract, and you could be rich like Conor McGregor.
Right.
And it's like, okay, no one's done what Conor's done. We need to pay these fighters more, or they're just going to keep leaving, man. If it just keeps going on in this way, I wouldn't be shocked if fighters go, you know, why do I need to go to the UFC? Why do I need to do that? I'm putting my health on the line. We're not getting very good contracts. I'm not making nearly as much money. Is it legacy that I want? Or am I in this for just purely legacy? I want to say that I am the best of the best, which is what the UFC says. We have the best fighters, the best fighter in the world that fighting in this weight class. Our world champion is the best fighter in the entire world at that weight class. Yeah. And for the longest time, people have agreed with that. But if you keep getting this kind of situation going, would you be shocked if more fighters are signing with Bellator? Would you be shocked if more fighters go, you know what, fuck that. I'm going to go to PFL. I'm going to get paid. And then eventually we're going to be like, okay, who really is the best?
Well, so you bring up really, really great points, Tabor. The UFC, I mean, this is what fighters should do, okay? The UFC is cream of the crop. We know that, right? It's the best promoted. It's on ESPN. It's a big deal. But if fighters started doing this type of line of work, right? So you fight in the UFC, you fight for dick pay, awful pay, right? And then you get some notoriety. Maybe you contend for a belt or you win a belt. And then you say, all right, I'm out of here as soon as my contract's up. And then you move to an organization that'll pay you your worth. Now you've got, your name out there. You're on the biggest platform. You start moving to Bellator, PFL, One Championship. I know that's, in Singapore or whatever. But still, there are organizations that pay these fighters more. Mm-hmm. And like that's the biggest thing right there. And I think if a lot of fighters started doing that, the UFC, you would force the UFC's hand to start paying their fighters more. And I think that's why what Francis Ngannou is doing is absolutely perfect. And I know we did not talk about this or have this in our notes, but can we talk about that, Dana White, and what he said about the Ngannou situation?
Yeah, go ahead.
So,
I mean, it all ties together, really.
Yeah, it really does. So Dana White came out and said, you knuckleheads, you goofballs, you idiots. He goes, I had things to do in the back, and that's why I did not put on Francis Ngannou's belt.
It's a bullshit excuse.
It is a... I don't
complete trash bullshit. I don't believe it.
I don't buy it for a second. And here's the thing. Okay, let's just say hypothetically, he is a president. Sometimes there are emergencies. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, okay, real quick, because here's my theory on the case. Even if that's the situation, you couldn't go out there to put the strap on Francis Ngannou. Why didn't you show up to the post-fight press conference?
Yeah.
If you were really that busy, right? That's an hour and a half after a fight, typically about an hour after the main event. You're trying to tell me you were so busy in the back for an hour and a half, 2 hours, that you could not put the belt on Ngannou and you couldn't go to the post-fight press conference? I'm sorry. As an MMA fan, as a UFC fan, I'm just not buying it. I'm not. And especially with all the bad blood between them and everything, it's just, to me, it's sketchy. Like, that's not real. That's not real. There's no way. There's no way, in my opinion, but hey. It is what it is.
I don't believe it. And the only thing that will help MMA fighter pay is for the government to step in and take belts from promotion. In boxing, it's illegal for a promotion to own a belt. Promoters have to bid on champions, and MMA promoters own the belt, so they could strip the title anytime they want. In boxing, if a promoter wants to promote a title fight, they have to outbid other promoters for champions. The reason White is making $8 million to fight Fury is because Matchroom and Top Rank had to bid on the Fury White fight. If Bellator could bid against UFC for Jones versus Ngannou, we'd see the fight. That's very interesting.
Very interesting. And W, shout out to that. That was that's great. That's wonderful. I think that's what they should do. And I hate government.
I don't
overreach.
like the government over stuff, but
yeah,
I mean,
dude,
I feel like we could do this. We could do this in the private sector, but I mean, it might have to take something that drastic.
Right. And at the end of the day, if the fighters get paid more, and something that blows my mind is they don't have health insurance. So, like, that's wild to me. So a guy goes out there, puts his life on the line, and I'm not being hyperbolic, guys. I mean, we've seen boxers in the past die very young.
Mm-hmm. Just
we've
had
seen
a couple
MMA.
last year, I believe.
And, we've seen really great fighters in the UFC slurring words and whatnot as they get older. Like, you are putting your life on their line. You are taking years off your life. A guy goes out there and he blows out his knee. He's making 10 and 10, and now what? He's got to pay $20,000-$30,000 to get his knee repaired? Mm-hmm. That's wild.
You only get health care as long as you're inside your contract, I believe. I don't know the exact specifics, but if you're outside the UFC, once you're done, once your contract's over, I believe all that's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and W says the government is the only reason why boxers make what they make.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for me, I don't know, man.
That's very interesting. I had no idea about any of that, so thank you for educating us, Ant W. You're always coming in with fire takes. Shout out to Zach Miranda. Yo, Jake Paul versus Anderson, 2-0 in boxing himself. I'd love that as well. Why the fuck not? Stop fighting welterweights and shit. Fight a guy who actually weighs your weight class. Yeah,
Joseph Bellotti keeps asking us this question. Sorry that it took us so long to get there, but here it is. What are you guys' thoughts on Tate joining Celebrity Big Brother and Kiss the Bicep in the trailer?
Tate?
Big Brother is that
Misha Tate?
Yeah, I think Misha Tate is Big Brother's the one with the cameras in the house.
I don't know. I don't watch reality TV.
And it's just like cameras 24 hours. Yeah. I mean, I watch a lot of reality TV with my wife, but I've never actually watched Big Brother. But, I mean, good for her. She's got to make money somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, shout out to her for that. Yeah, it's interesting with this Dana White, Jake Paul beef. It's just going to continue going on. I don't think Dana's even acknowledged the video. He probably never will. I think he even went on the Nelk Boys podcast and said, this is the last thing I'm ever going to say about Jake Paul. You can drug test me right now for cocaine. You're a fucking idiot. And stuff like that.
Okay, so that with Dana White, I don't think Dana White's doing cocaine.
No, I think that's just stupid.
That's just a stupid troll from Jake Paul. Yeah. Like, let's be realistic here.
Devin's face, he's like, come on.
Yeah, I know. But I really, truly do not believe Dana White's doing coke. I think that's ridiculous. I mean, the guy likes to gamble because he has millions of dollars, which is A-okay, but I don't think he's doing that.
Hookers and cocaine. That's all I got to say. Hookers and cocaine.